This is macOS Ken.
More details on the Zhengzhou lockdown, another report on Apple's hiring pause, and a bit of a stink around Apple services synergies. It is Friday, the 4th of November, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Rocket Money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and save at rocketmoney.com/MOK. This show is also sponsored by SimpliSafe, the right way to protect your home at the biggest discount of the year. The holidays are on the way, a time of caring, togetherness, and dagnabbit heightened threats. This time of year, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally. That's why the good people at SimpliSafe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system, so you can enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. You've heard me say for years why I love SimpliSafe. I love the customization. You pick just what you need to keep your home safe. Because who knows your home better than you? You also set it up yourself. Super easy. Took me less than an hour to get my sensors, keypad, and base station up and running. Not that you're on your own. For less than $1 a day, the SimpliSafe team keeps an eye out for issues 24/7, sending emergency services as soon as they are needed. Don't miss your chance for massive savings on a great security system. Get 50% off any new system at simplisafe.com/macOSKen today. This is their biggest discount of the year. SIMPLI. That's simplisafe.com/macOSKen. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. From closed loop to no loop, broken loop maybe, it seems a possibility. A report from Agence France Presse makes it sound as if production at the Foxconn plant in Zhengzhou, China, has come to a complete halt. Nicknamed iPhone City by some, we've heard stories of growing unrest around the plant for the past couple of weeks. They started with word of workers being asked to dine in their dorms to fight a small outbreak of COVID-19, then sped through Foxconn saying there was no problem, then not much of a problem, until reports surfaced that workers were jumping the fence and walking to their homes outside of Zhengzhou, actions they took after reports of a lack of food and proper medical care at the iPhone-making factory. Earlier this week came word that Foxconn had significantly increased bonuses in an attempt to get workers to stay and keep working. We also heard that local authorities had put the area around the plant on lockdown. The AFP story seems to pick up where that report left off. According to that, central China's Zhengzhou Airport Economy Zone, where Taiwanese tech giant Foxconn runs a massive plant, entered 7 days of static management on Wednesday, local officials said in a statement, using a euphemism for lockdown. The piece goes on to say all people except COVID prevention volunteers and essential workers must not leave their residences except to receive COVID tests and emergency medical treatment, the officials said Wednesday. They added only medical vehicles and those delivering essentials would be allowed on the streets. A piece from Taiwan News on the lockdown says that could throttle production at the Foxconn iPhone facility. Whether those workers are considered essential is unclear, though even if they are allowed to keep working, production will almost definitely be hampered. Earlier this week, TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo indicated that production under closed-loop mode is not as efficient as regular working conditions. As it stands now, the lockdown is expected to end next Wednesday, the 9th of November. If hiring isn't frozen for Apple at the corporate level, seems to be pretty close to it. I told you yesterday of a report from Business Insider that had 3 secret peeps saying new hiring for Apple on the Office side had pretty much ground to a halt. Now Bloomberg's Mark Gurman is hitting that story with a big old affirmative. Gurman's report says Apple has paused hiring for many jobs outside of research and development. He refers to that as an escalation of an existing plan to reduce budgets heading into next year. Secret people, once again, of course. The official word from Apple is the same as we heard earlier this week and on recent earnings calls, that they are still hiring, but given the current economic environment, the company is taking a very deliberate approach in some parts of the business. Expressing confidence in the company's future, Gurman has Apple saying it wants to be thoughtful and make smart decisions that enable it to continue fueling innovation for the long term. Gurman's secret so-and-sos say that translates to continued hiring for future devices and long-term initiatives, with fewer new hires for some corporate functions and standard hardware and software engineering roles. Apple's first unionized store in the U.S. has filed a labor complaint against the Cupertino company. A couple of reports, one from the Mac Observer and another from Bloomberg, highlight what's happening. Back in October, says the TMO piece, Apple introduced new health and educational benefits to its retail store workers in the U.S. Excluded from that was the Apple Towson Town Center location in Towson, Maryland, the first unionized Apple store in the States. Indications had Apple saying that location would need its union to negotiate any benefits as part of the collective bargaining process. Now the reports say the Towson employees have filed an unfair labor practice complaint with the National Labor Relations Board, or NLRB. Hiccups aplenty in the goings-on. According to Bloomberg, federal law generally prohibits companies from altering job terms without bargaining, but the NLRB may consider it unlawful discrimination to exclude union workers from benefit changes provided to other employees. At the same time, the Bloomberg piece makes it sound as if the health benefits wouldn't be available to the Maryland workers anyway. While they note the withholding of those benefits, Bloomberg says that new perk is only available in certain states, including Connecticut, New York, Georgia, Washington, and New Jersey. Now, if you're wondering where the union is on all of this, they kind of sound like a union in waiting at this point. TMO says the Towson employees don't have a contract yet. As the site understands it, contract talks have begun, but a first collective bargaining agreement can take upwards of a year to be agreed upon and then ratified by the union members. Legal or not, Towson union leadership sees underhandedness in Apple's actions. They say the Cupertino company is using coercive tactics to attempt to prevent more employees from joining together and bargaining. Apple made a couple of changes Thursday that could boost its services, though not without upsetting several users. We'll start with the somewhat confusing story around Apple TV. It's confusing because Apple doesn't seem to have announced any changes. They just went and changed stuff. A piece from Apple Insider says the Cupertino company had dropped the Up Next section from the Apple TV app on Apple TV 4K. It's possible they caught the change mid-change. When I went to check my Apple TV 4K Thursday afternoon, Up Next was still there, though it had been dropped down under a new section called What to Watch. For Apple Insider, those What to Watch titles being suggested/pushed by Apple seem to have simply replaced Up Next. Along a similar line, a piece from iDownload blog said that the TV app in the latest beta of iOS 16.2 did what I had seen on my TV, push the Up Next content below Apple's What to Watch section. Now, if you're not an Apple TV or TV app user, this may sound like much ado about nothing. iDownload blog disagrees, calling the new design a usability regression, with titles from other apps recommended by the algorithm taking precedent over content for which users have already shown an affinity. Blowback was fast and loud. In addition to the displeasure expressed by Apple Insider and iDownload blog, Macworld's Jason Snell was pretty quick to express disappointment. He took to Twitter to say, "Apple is far from the first company to do this sort of user-hostile behavior. Don't watch what you want, watch what we want you to. But I had hoped it would be a little better than the rest of the crowd. Here's the answer," he says. Nope, they aren't. Or weren't, maybe. Late Thursday night, Friday morning, I went back to my Apple TV to see again what changes Apple had wrought. As of then, things were more user-friendly, with Up Next up top, followed by What to Watch below it. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe Apple responded to the hue and cry. Whatever the case, if you go now to see what everybody was so upset about, there's a decent chance you won't. And what's apparently happening in Apple's weather app is not the same as what may be happening in the TV app, though to me at least, it has a similar feel. A piece from MacRumors says that app for iOS and iPadOS will incorporate stories from Apple News when they're updated in version 16.2. Located below the 10-day forecast on iPhone, the piece says the Apple News module surfaces relevant regional news stories. The examples given in the piece include a story about hurricanes in the Atlantic for cities in the Mid-Atlantic region, and a story about fire season for users in San Diego. Not all cities have stories all the time, according to the report, and the news shouldn't get in the way of the weather. According to MacRumors, it appears that when there's a weather alert at the top of the app, such as for rain or severe weather alerts, the news module is removed. There's no reason Apple couldn't go ahead and roll this out now, though they do seem to be holding back. The piece says the news module was added server-side by Apple. Still, it is only showing up on devices running the iOS, iPadOS 16.2 betas, indicating that it will be built as a feature of the next updates. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Rocket Money. Do you have any idea how many subscriptions you have running and how much they're costing you each month? Maybe you do. There's a good chance you don't. If you want to get a handle on them, see how many you've got and how much they're costing, there's Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The Rocket Money app shows you all of your subscriptions in one place. See some you don't use anymore or some you don't even recognize? Rocket Money can make those a thing of the past. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Or, you can just keep paying, I guess. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/MOK. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/MOK. Cancel your unnecessary subscriptions right now at rocketmoney.com/MOK. If you've been considering the ad-supported tier from Netflix, you'll need to consider a streaming device besides Apple TV for now. A piece from Engadget says the $7 a month basic with ads tier has gone live, though not for Apple's streaming device. At least not yet. Speaking to Variety, the streaming juggernaut said, basic with ads plan support on tvOS is not available at launch, but coming soon. It's probably not an intentional slight. The basic with ads plan wasn't actually supposed to go live until early next year, though Netflix put a rush on that. According to Engadget, the streamer wanted to get out of the gate before Disney Plus launches its ad-supported plan next month. Of course, regular Netflix plans do still work on Apple TV units. As for when basic with ads will work for the device, no official date has been announced. And finally today, Synergy is apparently in Apple's DNA at this point. Maybe it was an accident with a radioactive something. I don't know. The Mac Observer says the new documentary Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me, hits Apple TV Plus today. To mark the occasion, Apple and Gomez are promoting a 2-month trial of the streaming service. The documentary actually had its world premiere Thursday at the AFI Film Festival. After mentioning that on Twitter, the entertainer said, "I am thrilled to share a special gift to my fans of a 2-month free trial of Apple TV Plus." That was followed by encouragement to stream the documentary today, as well as a link for the free gift. You know, I actually did have somebody gift me a subscription once that I ended up having to pay for. Didn't feel like a gift at that point, but whatever. The documentary is up now on Apple TV Plus. Also hitting the Cupertino streamer this weekend, the Jennifer Lawrence, Brian Tyree Henry drama, Causeway. I know what I'll be watching. Andor. It's what to watch. Today on the Mac Observer's Daily Observations podcast, TMO Managing Editor Jeff Butts and I go in-depth on the Towson Store union complaint and Apple's sudden surges of synergistic suggestions. That is all today on the Daily Observations podcast from the Mac Observer, online at macobserver.com or wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get 50% off your new home security system by visiting simplisafe.com/macOSKen today. This show is also sponsored by Rocket Money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and save at rocketmoney.com/MOK. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.